I've been slowly working through the Iliad, at least some of it, doing an analysis of pretty much every word grammatically, and we worked our way up to line 43. And so we're going to pick up there in this particular video. We have seen the first 7 lines where the muse, Homer asked the muse to speak of Achilles' wrath, which brought the sorrow and horrible pestilence and death in the Achaean camp. This is followed then, beginning in line 8 and following, where Chryses, the priest of Apollo, had come to try to ransom his daughter, and Agamemnon refused. And that took us up through line 30, and then we began at 31, where the priest was dismissed by Agamemnon. And so he then prays to be avenged, or that the god Apollo would judge Agamemnon for what, and the Achaeans for what was going on. So this brings us up then to line 43. And we're going to do a few more lines looking at the grammar and looking at each word grammatically. I am reading from the classic interlinear translation. The reason being, it's, I think, easy to follow and pick up vocabulary. And I appreciate the work of this interlinear. So I'll be reading from it, published first of all in 1888. So we pick up then where we left off in line 43. So it begins, Hos ephata heukomenos, de phoibas Apollon eklue tu. That is, and he spoke, that is the priest, praying, and Phoebus Apollo was hearing him. Notice ephata is the aorist indicative act, middle, third person singular from phemi, to speak. And so he was praying, the text says, and eukomenos is the participle, present participle, middle, nominative masculine singular from eukomai, to pray. So thus he spoke, praying, and Phoebus Apollon was hearing him. Phoebus Apollon is Apollo, by the way. Apollon was the son of Zeus and Leto, brother of Artemis, and he is the god of light and the far darter, that is, who sends arrows from afar. So Apollo was hearing him. Eklue is the imperfect indicative active, third person singular, from kluo, to hear. So he was hearing him, and to here is your definite article functioning here as a personal pronoun, object in the genitive here of eklue. He was hearing him. Debe kata karenon olympioi ko amenas ker, and as we read that, we would read it, and he went down, that is Apollo, from the summits or the heights of Olympus, being enraged as to his heart, or enraged in heart. Notice here, de is just your conjunction, and be is from bino. It is the aorist indicative active third person singular from bino. And he went, kata is the preposition. He went down from the heights, down from. Kerenon, notice, is the genitive of kare, or karenon is the genitive of kare, meaning summit or height. So he went down from the summits of Olympus, where the gods dwelt or lived, and Olympioi is your genitive case here. It's in the genitive, and so he went down from the heights of Olympioi, enraged as to heart. Komenos ker. Komenos is from koamai, meaning to be angry or to be enraged. Here we have a present participle, middle, and it's nominative masculine singular from koamai. So he went down enraged as to ker. Ker, keras in the genitive means heart. Being enraged as to heart, ekon taxa, omoisin, that is, having bow, his bow understood, on shoulders, and we would have to supply on his shoulders. Ekon is your present participle, nominative masculine singular from echo. So having his bow, and notice bow here, taxa, is a plural neuter. And I don't think it's looking at a number of bows on his shoulder, but a one bow, and the plural could simply be looking at the different parts of the bow, it would seem. So having the bow, omoisin, on the shoulders, or on his shoulders. Notice here, it's from omos, meaning shoulder, and we have it in the dative case here, on his shoulders. So he goes down from Mount Olympus, and the bow on his shoulder, and then notice te and ampherefea faretren, and covered around, or a covered around quiver. Notice here, farete means quiver. It's a first declension noun, farete, faretes, and the adjective describing it is ampherefes, meaning covered at both ends. So he's going down with his quiver covered at both ends. And de ar oistoi ekanxan epi homon ko amenoia. Notice here the arrows ekanxan, rattled upon omon, upon the shoulders, koamenoia, of him who was enraged. Notice here, oistoi is from oistos, oistu, second declension noun, meaning arrow. And so the arrows, and here we have nominative plural in the oi, the arrows rattle. Ekklanksan. Ekklanksan is from kladzo, and it means to clang or rattle. And here we have the aorist indicative active third person plural uh, from that root, klazo. And what is interesting to me here is we can hear the arrows rattling. In other words, from reading the Greek, de ar oistoi ekklaxan, api homo ko amenoia. So you're hearing the rattling, ekklaxan, the arrows. And so this is a poetic way of letting you hear what's going on as the god Apollo is coming down from Olympus, as the arrows are rattling uh, on his shoulders, of him who is enraged. And by the way, the him here, in the way him who is enraged, in the way that it reads in the Homeric reading, is put forth for emphasis with Altu coming first. In other words, he being angry of the one of him who is angry as he moved or being moved. Notice kinethentos here is the aorist participle as he moved, genitive singular from kenao, or kenao, excuse me, as he moved. So we would read it, then the arrows rattled, ekklanksan, upon omon koamenoia. It was rattling as he moved, autu kenethentas, as he moved. And you can almost hear it happening. And then the last or the next phrase reads, Decha eia oikos nukti. And he was going, being like to the night. And notice here, eia is the imperfect indicative active third person singular of a me. So he was going, being like tonight. And here, oikos is a participle, perfect participle, active, nominative, masculine, singular. And so he's describing this as he's coming down, like tonight, or like the night. And Nick T is in the dative case here. And it seems to be looking at the sudden coming of the night, which can all of a sudden appear in these fall days that we happen to be in. The night seems to suddenly come. You go out and walk, and soon it's nighttime. And I think not only swiftly is it coming, but there was a dread of the night, especially at a time when you didn't have street lights, but even the night itself can have sort of a dreadful feeling. And so he was going imperfect, being like, and here we have the perfect participle, tonight. And I think I'll stop there, but the rest reads epete etc. Then he was setting upon Yusuf afar off from the ships neon de metaeke, and sent forth a dart, it on, and dreadful was its twang. Didane genita clange, of the silver bow. Argu reoya bioya. And you can almost hear the flying of the arrow, of the silver bow. Oe, that sound. Egu reoya bioya, of the silver bow. And then it begins to describe the devastation that had occurred. So I'm going to stop there. I'm just enjoying going slowly through it, learning as I go along, and I hope this is helpful. I find, again, this particular text that I'm using of the interlinear to be very, very helpful to me. And the reading of Homer reads, Hos ephot eukamenas tu deklua phoebas Apollon, bedekat ulumpoia karenon ko amenas ker. Tax homasin echon ampherefea te foretren. Eklaxan dar oistoi epomon ko amenoia. Autu kenethentas ha die nukti eoikos. And nukti eoikos. Notice again, as we had pointed out, in this particular line, line 47, autu kenethentes, autu is put forth for emphasis. He, as he moved, looking at the god Apollo. And then you have the emphasis upon ekklanksan in line 47, the arrows rattling as he went down from Mount Olympus. So again, I'm trying to sort of work through every word grammatically. It sort of like Thoreau said in the first video we put out, that one of the mental challenges is to work through every word. And part of doing that is trying to understand the grammar of each word as well as the vocabulary. So thank you, and I hope it helps somebody.